Hello, I am doing a review here of this box set, the Vomit Gore trilogies. It's the box set of the movies of filmmaker Lucifer Valentine. I've had this box set for several months and I'm finally getting around to doing my review. Sorry. Um, I'll show you what it looks like, even though most of you probably have seen this in other reviews. Just in case you haven't, I will show you what it looks like. This is the cover. Full of classic Lucifer Valentine artwork, which I absolutely love. So that's what it looks like on the outside. And then the movie contains, of course, the 3 Vomit Gore movies: Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, Regurgitated Sacrifice, Slow Torture Puke Chamber, and then finally, last but not least, it's got the bonus disc, which has the 21-minute movie on it, A Perfect Child of Satan. And that actually, in my opinion, is worth the price of this, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I'm not going to do a review of each one of the movies simply because I wouldn't even know where to start, and this review would be so incredibly long I wouldn't even know what to do with it. So I'm just going to kind of do a quick overview. I came across these movies, it was a couple years ago now, and I was just kind of bored with horror. I was just kind of looking for something new. I'd kind of gotten out of keeping up with new horror for a while. I was just kind of jaded, I guess. I hadn't seen anything really decent in a long time, so just kind of was stepped away from watching horror movies for a while. So I was kind of bored one night, and I did a search, Google search for the most disturbing horror, and Lucifer Valentine's movies were topping like all of the legitimate lists, and I was like, who is this guy? I've never heard of these movies. So I did a little research and came across the Kingdom of Hell website, which is the Lucifer Valentine website. I don't even think it's running anymore, but that was the old production company that used to put these movies out before Unearthed got a hold of them. And the website kind of drew me in immediately because it was filled with this art, this very cute, almost childlike art of Lucifer Valentine's, and that automatically kind of creeped me out a little bit because I knew that this was supposed to be some really depraved material, and it had like this very cutesy, almost childlike looking pictures all over it, so I was immediately automatically kind of drawn in. Just that conflicting, mix of childlike pictures with evil just was interesting. So long story short, I ended up finally watching Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, and wow, it was not what I expected. I was expecting just a really extreme gross out experience. And that's not what I got. It is an art film. These are all art films. This is serious art, and fuck you if you say otherwise. I mean, it's definitely transgressive art, extreme shock art, but it's art nonetheless, and I've always been a huge fan of extreme shock art, so it immediately piqued my curiosity, and I had to see the rest of the movies ASAP. So I did, and each one just almost seemed to get better. It's kind of hard to compare the 3 because they have their own merits, and they're really quite different, even though they have a lot of the same elements in them. But all of them incredibly dark, incredibly depraved, incredibly beautiful, satanic, filled with despair, humiliation, cruelty. I mean, these are just really intense, very heavy, very deep movies. They're not for everyone. I will say that right off the bat. These movies are not for everyone. But if you are somebody that is into shock art, extreme art, you should definitely check these out. I always was a huge fan of the photographer Andres Serrano. He's the guy that did the Piss Christ. You might know who he is, you might not. But the one I compare Lucifer Valentine to Serrano, and I've done that before, and I feel very comfortable doing that. and I think that they're very similar in that the experience that the audience comes away with is pretty much, it's very similar with the two artists in that both Lucifer Valentine and Andres Serrano are kind of forcing the audience to look directly at subject matter and things that we would normally turn away from, that we would normally not want to look at. We're basically being forced to stare directly at desperation and just very dark, ugly, often ugly things, and it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for the viewer, it's uncomfortable for the audience, and the only way really to stop it from happening, because the images are being kind of forced into your eyeballs and forced into your mind, is to either walk away or turn it off. And so it's a very intense experience. And it brings these strange conflicting emotions in a lot of people, in that, you know, you're at the same time you're being just totally disgusted and scared and freaked out and just turned off, but at the same time you're seeing the beauty and you're being turned on and you're loving it. And it's a very almost uncomfortable situation to be in, to having these really strong conflicting emotions, and it's a very intense experience. At least it was for me, and I know that it's the same for a lot of people when they watch these movies. So very dark, very, very dark energies in this movie, but that's something that I've always really enjoyed in my art, so I was an instant fan. So if shock art's something that you like and transgressive art is something that you enjoy, these movies, you should own this box set. So really quick, I want to talk about this last one, this little bonus disc, A Perfect Child of Satan. A lot of the fans already owned these movies individually, all three Vomit Gore movies, but then they got the box set just for that fourth movie. Totally worth it. All right, that this little movie, this 21-minute movie, it's a huge departure from his other works, the Vomit Gore movies. Very, very different. For one, there's no vomit. Not a ton of gore. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I'll put it this way. This little movie, this 21-minute movie, actually can bring about a physiological change in me when I watch it. It is incredibly intense, and if you've seen the Vomit Gore movies, you know how Lucifer Valentine does a really great job in incorporating sound with the images that you see, and can really set the mood with the sound and the soundtrack. Well, that is done so even more in A Perfect Child of Satan. The soundtrack and the sound design is fucking phenomenal, and it really creates a very uncomfortable, very intense experience for the moviegoer, and I cannot recommend it enough. So I love these movies. I love this box set. And oh, also, I've heard people talk about shelf appeal. Some collector friends talk about shelf appeal. This DVD definitely has shelf appeal. It looks so pretty up on the shelf with all the other boring movies sitting up there in just the typical black cases. So I love it. And you probably will too if you've watched this far and you're not running screaming for the door. You'd probably love these too, so everyone should own this. Okay, that's it. That's my review. Long overdue. Thank you. Bye.